Shaggy, Scooby, what are you two doing here? I thought when I saw you after school let out, you said you were going home for dinner.
Right, Velma, but we got hungry on the way. We had to stop for a snack.
But you're having dinner when you get home.
But that's 3 whole blocks away.
You guys are bottomless pits. Oh, well, summer vacation is coming up. How are you two planning on spending it?
Same as usual. We'll grab Fred and Daphne, then all of us will hop in the old mystery machine and track down some adventures.
Didn't you know? Fred is going to summer school this year, and Daphne earned a trip to Europe. The gang's not going to be together.
Oh, no. What'll we do?
Scooby's right. The summer's going to be a drag. What are you going to do, Velma?
Well, I was thinking I'd like to put a little money away for college. I'm going to look for a summer job.
Hey, that's a great idea. I could use some extra money, too. I think I'll look for a summer job.
Me too.
You? What kind of a job could a dog do?
How about a night watchdog?
Scooby, you can't stay awake past 9 p.m.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Shaggy, I'm going to the school counselor tomorrow. He can probably give me some tips on job hunting. Why don't you and Scooby meet me at his office?
Good idea, Velma. We'll see you there.
I think it's a great idea you two are going to look for a summer job. But let me warn you, often there aren't enough jobs to go around. But don't be easily discouraged. Keep trying. Usually the best qualified and best prepared people get the jobs.
That's where we need help, Mr. Thomas. How do we prepare for job hunting?
The best way to get your foot in the door is to prepare a good resume. It's a personal advertisement to a prospective employer.
Resume? What exactly is that?
A resume is a typewritten or printed sheet that lists information about you. It gives your qualifications for obtaining a job.
How do we prepare a resume?
Well, here are the names of several books in our school library. They give guidelines in preparing a resume and even show samples.
What are we waiting for? Let's hit the library.
Shaggy, I could be a dog on a fire truck.
Are you still thinking about a job? Fire truck dogs are always Dalmatians.
Oh, yeah.
What does it say about preparing a resume, Velma?
Well, to begin with, you should include identifying information, your name, address, and phone number. Some personal data should also be listed, such as age, height, weight, if you're married and have children.
Married?
Children?
I think we better move on, Velma.
Next, you should give your job objective.
Oh, you mean what kind of job you're looking for?
Right. And in some cases, you may want to list long-range career plans.
What's next?
If you have any military experience, list that. Or you may want to list it under job experience if it fits.
Job experience?
That's next on the list. You should list any jobs you've held, even part-time and summer work.
Any special way to organize the work experience?
It's best to list your latest job first and work backwards. Include the nature of the work, your title or position, the name of the employer, and the dates you held the job.
Okay. I've had a few part-time jobs. Maybe that experience will help me get a summer job.
Gee, I don't have much experience.
Another item on the resume is educational background.
Oh, you mean like where I go to school?
Right. You should list all schools you've attended except elementary schools, unless they were a special type like art school.
What else about education?
It says you should give the dates you attended the schools, list any degrees, certificates, honors, or awards you've earned. Mention any special schools you've attended during or after graduation. Oh, and it doesn't hurt to indicate future educational plans if you have any.
Is that all?
Here's some optional information you might put in if it's important or if there's room. List when you're available for work. It says this is especially important for summer jobs. You can also include a photograph of yourself. List extracurricular activities or hobbies. These show you're a go-getter and may relate like work experience. And it might be good to list references, people who will vouch for your character or ability.
Gee, I can see there's a lot of information packed into a resume.
Yes, but it says they should not be too long. 1 page is a good length. The resume should be relevant, interesting, and honest. Use good grammar and spelling.
You bet. Like Mr. Thomas said, the resume is my personal advertisement. It should look neat too, right?
Yes, there should be enough white space on the page so it's easy to read, not crammed full.
Well, I'm ready to prepare mine.
Scoop, will you give up? You can't get a job?
I could be a seeing eye dog.
Scooby, you're too clumsy.
Oh, shucks.
Anything else, Velma?
A student looking for a summer job doesn't usually have much work experience. He hasn't completed his education either.
That's for sure.
Well, it suggests that you emphasize skills, personal abilities, aptitudes, and interests in your resume.
Great idea, Velma. I'm going to work on my resume now. See you later.
How did it go, Shaggy?
Oh, all right. I think I have a good resume.
Me too. Let's go to Mr. Thomas and find out our next move.
Yes, you two have prepared fine resumes. Now, when you send these to prospective employers, they should be accompanied by a cover letter.
Huh? What's that?
A cover letter leaves no doubt why you sent the resume. An employer may have several jobs open at the time, or the resume may be first screened by an employment agency.
What should the letter say?
The letter should state what job you are applying for and why you feel you are qualified. Tell the employer when you are available for an interview and when you are ready to work. Of course, tell how you can be contacted for an interview. Letter, self-addressed postcard, or phone number.
Hey, I understand. The cover letter helps make you more specific and immediate than the resume alone can.
Right, Shaggy. The cover letter should follow standard business letter form. It should be neat, concise, and written with good grammar. Try to address the letter to a specific person. If that's not possible, a dear sir will do. Remember to type your name below your signature and make your address and phone number prominent.
Thanks for the advice, Mr. Thomas. See you later.
Well, Velma, I have a couple of job leads from want ads. I'm going to prepare cover letters and send out my resumes.
Me too.
Are you still trying, Scooby?
I could be a sheepdog.
Scooby, you're allergic to wool.
Oh. Well, back to the drawing board.
Hi, Shaggy and Scooby. Any luck with the resumes and cover letters you sent in response to the want ads?
Not yet, Velma. I'm still searching for that perfect job.
Me too. Hey, How about a ski rescue dog?
Forget it, Scooby. They work in the mountains. You're afraid of heights.
Oh, yeah.
I need some more ideas on places to look for jobs.
Good thinking. Let's go talk to Mr. Thomas.
Shaggy, your search through the want ads was a good place to start. Some job hunters even place their own ads.
Gee, I never thought of that.
Other places to look are the placement office here at school, state employment services, which are free, and commercial employment agencies, which often charge.
Those are helpful ideas, Mr. Thomas.
Don't forget to ask among your friends and relatives. They may know of something, but don't pester them. And remember, pull can get you a job, but you must earn your keep.
We'll remember, Mr. Thomas.
Is there any way we can prepare for job interviews?
Why, yes, Shaggy. When you go to an interview, you should dress appropriately. Not too casual, but not too formal either. Your hair and nails should be clean and neat. Don't wear heavy perfume, makeup, or aftershave.
Gosh, maybe I better try a different set of clothes and shave before my first interview.
Good thinking, Shaggy. Around school, we all know you as a fine student, but first impressions are important to those who don't know you.
What else, Mr. Thomas?
Wear a cheerful expression. Getting a job is serious business, but you don't have to appear stern. Also, know what type of position you're interviewing for. If possible, learn a little about the company. Allow yourself plenty of time to get to the interview in case you should get held up in traffic or have car trouble.
What will the interviewer be trying to find out?
He's going to be judging how you answer questions and think on your feet. If he asks you to tell him about yourself, do so fully but concisely. Tell him about your educational background, experience, and ambitions.
That's the information that's on my resume.
True, Shaggy. But now the interviewer has a chance to see how you express yourself and communicate.
What other type of questions might he ask?
Oh, such things as, why are you looking for a job? Why did you leave your last job? Why do you want to work for us? What do you expect to be doing 5 years from now?
Can I ask questions about hours, salary, overtime pay, and things like that?
Yes, Shaggy. But wait until the interviewer has finished questioning you.
It sounds like a lot to remember for an interview.
Don't worry, Velma. Just relax and be yourself. Think about answers to possible questions, and then let them come out naturally. Remember, the interviewer is on your side. If it goes badly, learn from your mistakes.
Thanks for your advice, Mr. Thomas. I think I'm ready to start interviewing.
Good luck.
Well, Shaggy, it looks like we're both ready to start looking for jobs and lining up interviews.
Me too.
Again.
Yeah, I could be a movie star dog.
Haven't you forgotten about your stage fright?
Oh, yeah.
Let's meet at the malt shop in a couple of days. After we've done some interviewing, we can compare notes.
Good idea.
Say, Shaggy, you really got spruced up for interviewing. Did you have any luck?
I haven't gotten any offers yet, but I've learned a lot from interviewing.
Me too. Did you have to fill out applications?
Yeah, some places wanted me to fill one out there. Other places told me to mail it back.
Same here. I'm glad I took copies of my resume with me. It helped me fill in dates and names.
Right. After I had filled out the application accurately and concisely, I attached a copy of my resume. That's in case they want more information.
Did you watch your grammar and spelling?
Oh, you bet. And I always double-check the job experience section. Some applications wanted last job first. Others requested them in chronological order.
How about references?
Most of the applications asked for 3.
Mine too. I listed teachers, past employers, or acquaintances who know me well enough to vouch for my ability and character.
Yeah, sounds like we're on the same track, Velma. It's time for more job hunting.
Don't forget me.
Scoob, I told you, you won't find a job.
Maybe I could be a sled dog.
Scooby, you hate the snow. It freezes your nose.
Well, Shaggy, let's check in with each other again in a few days.
Okay, Velma.
How's the job search coming along, Shaggy?
Nothing definite, Velma, but I think I'll have something pinned down soon.
Me too. Say, where's Scooby?
I don't know. I haven't seen him all day.
Oh, here he comes now.
What's the get up for, Scoob?
My new job.
You got a job?
Yup. I'm a police dog.
How in the world did a dog beat us in finding a job?
Easy. A good resume and a good interview.
Oh boy, it just goes to show you. If you use your qualifications to the best advantage and present yourself well, anything can happen.
Scooby, since you have a job, today the malts are on you.
Well, Velma, I guess we've wrapped up this story. You've already got it written.
Wait just a second, Shaggy. We've only dealt with news writing. Besides the news stories and advertisements, there's a lot more that goes into a newspaper. This locker fire story could easily develop into other articles.
Oh, yeah?
Sure. To begin with, feature stories are very important to newspapers.
Is feature writing different than straight news writing?
Right. It's more flexible in its style. You see, most features have an emotional or human interest appeal.
Oh, I get you. The style of writing should play up those points, right?
Yes, features are not usually written quite as concisely as straight news. Sometimes even a conversational tone or a narrative approach, like in a short story, is used.
It sounds like features are wide open.
Yeah, wide open.
Not exactly. The subjects and writing style are flexible. Features like straight news, however, should still be factual, accurate, and informative.
What different kinds of articles are classified as features, Velma?
There are all kinds. News features deal with news, of course, but they look at some of the emotional aspects of the story. There are also other types. Personality features let the reader meet an interesting human being. An investigative feature reveals facts about a story a reporter has ferreted out. Informative features explain issues and events to readers. Historical features and interviews are two more types that fall under the feature classification.
Does a feature still have a lead paragraph?
It sure does, but the lead is used more to emotionally involve the reader than to begin summarizing the story.
What about the 5 W's and H?
Yeah, 5 W's and H.
All those questions should be answered somewhere in the body of the story.
Did you say this locker fire incident might also work into a feature?
Sure. The paper could run a story on how one of the students lost a homework assignment in the fire. While one student's homework isn't hard news, it does have emotional appeal, especially among our readers.
I see.
Sports stories can be considered features if they're not dealing with game coverage or news developments.
Lots of times I see crossword puzzles and stuff like that in newspapers.
Puzzles, comics, verse, and short stories are common features. So are columns on such subjects as health, cooking, travel, hobbies, and other interests.
I like comics.
Usually a school paper is limited on space, and these type features are used sparingly.
Say, how about pictures? They're worth 1,000 words, you know.
1,000 words?
You hit it on the head, Shag. Sometimes a good action photograph and a cut line are enough to tell a whole story. A cut line is the caption. It explains the photo and identifies the people in the picture. It usually answers most of the 5 W's and H.
Well, at least there's nothing tricky about pictures.
Not so fast, Hotshot. There are a couple of points to remember.
Like what?
Pictures used with stories should be of good, clear quality and easily recognizable as to what they show. They should also be placed in good relationship to the story they illustrate. Also, a good action shot is better than a dozen posed pictures.
I think cartoons and pictures really add interest to a paper.
That's true, both from their content and the way they make the paper look if they're distributed well.
Well, I guess that wraps up newspaper content.
Hold it, Shaggy. We haven't talked about one of the most important areas of a newspaper, the editorial page.
Editorial?
Right. In an editorial, a writer or staff takes a stand on an issue. Then the facts and arguments are presented. Finally, the writer tries to convince the reader of an opinion or prompt him to action.
Wow, that sounds pretty straightforward.
Remember, Shaggy, in news reporting, objectiveness is the goal. This is even true for the most part in features. In an editorial, however, there must be favoritism. Once the position has been decided on, the editorial should be of conviction and courage.
Oh, I'm impressed.
Editorials can criticize, advocate, endorse, defend, praise, predict, or attack.
How are editorial subjects selected?
One way is to ask 3 questions. Is the issue going to directly affect the reader? Is the issue an important one? Is the issue one on which the paper wants to or feels it needs to take a stand?
Have you got an example?
Usually, newspaper editors or staffs meet in an editorial board to decide what their policy will be. But look at this story we're on, the locker fires. That incident could prompt an editorial urging more night security at the school.
I see.
Wow, yeah.
The editorial page also carries other opinion-oriented pieces. The editorial cartoon is a visual editorial. It makes people think about an issue and take sides. Reviews of books, movies, plays, television, and music also allow a writer to inject his personal opinion.
Any more?
Letters to the editor are usually placed on the editorial page. These letters often express people's opinions in opposition to those opinions expressed in the paper's editorials. The paper is encouraging discussion by publishing these opinions. Sometimes the paper doesn't have space to print an entire letter. When a letter is cut down, however, it should never be distorted.
There sure is a lot more than news in a newspaper.
Sure is.
I think you two are catching on to the Fourth Estate.
Fourth Estate?
That's a nickname for journalism.
That sounds like a pretty fancy title. Don't get vain, Velma.
Don't worry. You'll never catch this journalist with her nose stuck up in the air.
Oh.
Okay, Velma, you explained to Scooby and me what news is, news and feature writing, editorializing, and safeguards. What's left?
Yeah, what's left?
Well, you two junior journalists, we're getting near the end of our cram course, but there's still some important steps left to putting out a paper.
Let's hear 'em.
Why don't we start back over to the school so I can show you some examples?
Okay.
While we're on our way, I can start explaining some of the final steps on a newspaper after the stories have been written.
There can't be much left.
Some of the most important jobs come into play now.
Like what?
Well, if the paper is very big, the copy reader goes through all the stories. On a smaller paper, the editor or page editors usually read them.
Why?
For one thing, any errors in the copy, both in content and style, are corrected.
That doesn't sound too tough.
Just a minute, I'm not through. That's just surface editing. The copy reader also makes sure the story is a good news story or feature. It should incorporate all the qualities we've already talked about.
You mean he can make changes in a writer's story?
That's right. The copy reader or editor tries to preserve the individuality of the story, but make sure it's accurate and interesting.
What are some of the changes he might make, Velma?
Well, he removes unnecessary words or phrases. He substitutes better words for inadequate ones. He removes, transposes, combines, or inserts paragraphs to improve the story. A copy reader or editor eliminates trite, needless, or libelous statements. Sometimes he puts in tie-in sentences to make the story flow. He looks at the lead for impact and makes sure none of the facts are buried in the body of the story.
Wow, a copy reader sure has to pay attention to detail.
That's right. If a story is really badly written, he rewrites it. And if time permits, the copy reader or editor may even send the story back to the reporter to be rewritten.
He sure has a big job.
Yeah, big.
If the copy reader and editor are the same person, he also decides how much of a story to use.
Oh, in case there's not room for all of it.
That's right. He may remove whole paragraphs or sections. That's called trimming. Or he may condense the whole story by just using the facts. That's called boiling down a story. A copy reader should be familiar with the standard copy reader's marks.
Is the copy reader responsible for anything else?
Well, as a matter of fact, he's the one who usually writes the headlines. On some papers, the reporter or page editor writes them.
Oh, yeah, headlines. They're kind of unique to newspapers, aren't they?
That's right. A headline summarizes the story, attracts reader attention, adds a flavor to the story, and gives the paper a certain look, all in just a few words.
I never thought of it like that.
Wow.
As much as possible, headlines should answer the 5 W's and H. They should not include slang or the words a, and, or the, unless they add something to the idea. Headlines should be precise and can even contain names, places, or numbers when they're important to the story. They should contain active verbs and avoid negative statements. Never use the same word twice in a headline.
How does a copy reader or editor go about writing a headline?
He reads the story and picks out the facts that belong in the headline. Then he uses his imagination and his vocabulary and creates the head. The most important element to work into the headline is the action feature of the story. The element that makes the story unique is the next important. Of course, above all, the headline should fit the story and not be awkwardly written.
Say, how about the look a headline has to it?
Right, Shaggy. There are many typefaces and sizes to choose from, and each carries a certain image with it. A headline must fit the space where it will be placed also. A newspaper selects a typeface it likes and uses it fairly consistently.
Boy, the more I learn about journalism and putting a paper together, I can see that it takes skill and imagination.
Yeah, sure does.
That's true, but it's a lot of fun. Well, here we are at the school. Let's go in and talk about printing and layout.
Is the paper printed here at school?
No, Shaggy. Most school papers are printed by commercial print shops on offset presses.
What's an offset press?
Well, in simple terms, a photograph is made of the newspaper pasted up as it will appear when finished. This photograph becomes a printing plate that goes on the press, and the press then prints a full page or pages of the newspaper.
What are other printing methods?
Yeah, what else?
Well, some schools and organizations print their papers on mimeograph machines. In this process, the stories are typed on a special stencil. This stencil is placed on a machine which makes the copies.
Okay, so when you're getting the paper ready for printing, what do you do?
Well, first of all, the process is called makeup.
No thanks, I don't wear any.
No, it's not that kind of makeup, silly. Makeup is deciding what the paper should look like.
Look like?
You want to get a paper that looks balanced and interesting. You also want it to set off important stories as well as look neat.
That sounds logical.
To get an idea of how the paper can look, you usually prepare a dummy.
Watch it.
No, Scooby. A dummy is a hand-drawn page which shows the relative position of the elements on the page.
That gives you a pretty good idea of the finished product.
Right. For our offset printing, the stories are typeset in long columns called galleys. The headlines are also typeset by the printer. The galleys and headlines are trimmed and then pasted on layout sheets. Artwork is also pasted up on the layout sheets.
What about pictures?
Some printers prefer the actual picture pasted on the layout sheets. Other printers want the picture's location indicated by a piece of black paper. Still other printers make a Velox, which is a special offset print to paste on the layout sheet.
Paste up doesn't look too difficult.
It's not tough after you get the hang of it. Neatness is important.
Yeah, I see.
Oh, I should have mentioned that all the copy would be carefully checked for mistakes before it's pasted down. That's called proofreading.
Well, Velma, have we wrapped up this story?
It looks like it, Shaggy. Once you have the basics, the best way to learn about newspapers is to read them and study them.
Let's get back and see if Fred and Daphne have uncovered any clues.
Oh, before we do that, there is one important aspect I forgot to mention.
Like what?
Everyone on a newspaper works under deadlines. Deadlines must be respected if the paper's to get out on time.
Deadlines are important, huh?
They sure are. They're what a newspaper lives by.
Well, what I live by is food. Let's get down to the malt shop. I'm starved.
Me too.
Okay, you two, let's go. Oh, just a second. That's the news phone. I better get it. Grover High Gazette. Oh, hi, Fred. What's up? Oh, really? That sure makes sense. Okay, thanks for calling.
What was that all about?
Yeah, what?
That was Fred. He and Daphne just wrapped up the fire mystery.
They did, Velma? Well, tell us what happened.
Well, they got to wondering why the fires were all in boys' lockers, all juniors, too.
Yeah?
After a little investigating, they discovered that all three students had one thing in common. They're all in 6th period woodshop.
So?
The class has been using a chemical to treat wood for water resistance. The three boys had taken rags out of the shop with some of the chemical on it. Once inside the closed lockers all night, the rags burst into flame because of spontaneous combustion.
Spontaneous combustion. Wow, that all makes sense. They need to be more safety conscious, don't they? Say, that would make a great editorial for the Gazette.
Now you're thinking like a newspaper person, Shaggy.
Huh? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I am. I guess a journalist and a detective have a lot in common.
Yep, you pegged that one right on the nose.
Oh, nose.